Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the city in which we live. Guide us this afternoon as we make our decisions. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
This is the regular meeting of May 12th, 2020 of the Noonan City Council. You have the minutes of the regular meeting of April 14th, 2020 before you. I'll entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We adopt the minutes. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Roseanne?
Yep, he had a hand.
Okay.
We got you, Rhodes.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carried. The next item on the agenda today are appointments to boards and commission. The first two are appointments to the Noonan Youth Activities Commission. The first, Mr. Alexander.
Yes, I'd like to make my appointment as Smith Pass.
Okay. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. And then Mr. Critco, we have a Noonan Youth Activities Commission.
Next meeting, please.
All right, thank you. The next three items are appointments to the Urban Redevelopment Agency. The first is mine, Jackie Binion, and I would like to reappoint Mr. Binion to the Urban Redevelopment Agency.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is Mr. DeBose for the Urban Redevelopment Agency.
Yes, my nomination is Mr. Matt Rice.
All right.
Second.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
I'd like to make sure that we send Mr. Frost a letter thanking him for his years of service. We
Also
certainly
thank you in
appreciate
person. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is an appointment to the Urban Redevelopment Agency. Councilman Guillaume.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Eric Miller.
Second.
Second.
Eric Miller. Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Also, if you could
Opposed,
please,
like sign.
I'm sorry. Could you please send a letter to Scott Cosby, thanking him for his 3-year term?
Okay, that concludes the boards and commissions. Mr. Phillips, do you have anything today?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like to briefly go over how we're going to reopen?
Yeah, regarding the city's reopening strategy, first of all, I'd like to recognize all the work put in from all of the department heads. Hasco, they put in a lot of work. And it wasn't easy because it's a lot different trying to reopen different facilities and different operations. For example, it's a little easier to open the police department, who has been open. It's a little easier to open an admin facility as compared to a library or any event services. So what we had developed is a staged or a phased reopening. This Thursday will be the beginning of that phase where we will be allowing our constituents, the public, to re-enter into city facilities, obviously with restrictions and limited access. And then we're targeting May 26th for a greater reopening. And hopefully mid-June is when we get to consider reopening some of our more public opportunities. Still haven't made any decisions, obviously, as it relates to events, because we still are monitoring the situation. But again, all these dates are fluid as well. For example, I think we had a date to open municipal court June. We were targeting May the 18th, I believe was our initial target, but a new judicial order came out. And so we had to readdress, and now court is, I think the first day of court is May the 15th. I'm sorry, June. I'm getting my days, months mixed up here. But it's been a lot of work, and like I said, it's still very fluid. I know that we have posted information on our social media pages. Ashley's done a good job of trying to keep the public informed. We're ready. We got all of our resources, our cleaning supplies, our barricades, our information. If you go into the hallway, you'll see that we got stickers on the floor as far as spacing is concerned. So I feel we're in a good position, and looking forward to reopening and having some sense of normalcy.
Thank you. And on behalf of myself and the rest of the council, I would like to express our thanks for all the hard work and dedication, not only to crafting the reopening plan, but for everything that went on during this past couple of months. It's been a monumental task for those who have been here in this building or in the shop or in the police department or our fire department or any other part of our city to operate at the level at which we've continued to operate. And we appreciate that. We get that opportunity to say that every Christmas at our Christmas luncheon, and I always make a joke of it that I'm going to say it again this year. But it's always worth saying thank you to the hard work and dedication, not only of staff, but every city employee across the board. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, under new business, item D, this is a request by Piedmont Residential for Summerlin Subdivision Phase 2 to accept a new road, Ulch Park Drive, into the city's public street system.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Clark, is everything in order? Where are you back there? You in the back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everything is in order.
All right, thank you. Motion and a second, we accept the street as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is a consideration of adopting an amendment to sections 9, 10, and 11 of the subdivision regulations. This is in your agenda. I hope everyone's had the opportunity to read through it. Of significance, it changes the preliminary plat approval process from a trip to the Planning Commission to an administrative trip, which I think will be well received by the folks and our business people in our community. Takes that step out of it. When all of the boxes are checked, there's no reason in the world why our administrative folks in our city ought not to be able to just approve a preliminary plat. So that's one of the considerations in it. Any questions on the amendment? All right, I entertain a motion.
I move.
Second.
Motion and a second, we approve the amendment or adopt the amendment as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. I assume we need to put that on our next agenda for a second reading. Thank you. The next item is ordinance to amend the 2019 budget. You've got that in front of you. Have any questions of Mr. Phillips, or if you have any comment?
I do have a comment. Obviously, this is something that we do each year as we close out the year. And one thing that I do want to comment, again, it's another recognition item. The Finance Department and our auditors, instead of filing the request for delay, obviously, it was automatically granted by the governor's order, but I'm pleased to announce that our auditing team is proceeding doing our online audit. So they're doing all of the checks and the testing remotely. So we should not have any delay in our audit process this year.
Shouldn't need to exercise the extension then.
That is correct.
Good for us. Thank you very much for that hard work. Is there a motion?
So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, we amend the ordinance as presented. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. We'll also put that item on our next agenda for a second and final reading. The next item on the agenda today is a consideration of a contract award for milling and resurfacing of various streets to C.W. Matthews Contracting, Inc. I've got this on the agenda, and there's the list on the board. Any discussion or questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion second, we approve the request or the contract as presented. No discussion, I'll call.
I apologize.
Question?
I have one question.
All right.
I noticed that in the Exhibit A, it talked about flush with gutter, so I'm assuming they're going to mill it down the proper way and then resurface it back to flush with the gutter.
Is that correct, Mr. Clark?
Yes,
Trying to restore everything back to the original grade line.
right. But then, further
Laura,
down,
Could you come up to the mic, please? Or,
They go to the podium, Haskell will give you the mic.
well, yeah.
but then further down, past Exhibit A, it's another contract, and it talks about Sprayberry Road from Jackson to Jefferson, and then Wirtz Industrial from Millard. Are they milling it down also? Those
That's
four?
correct.
Okay, all right,
That's a different contract than this one, but yes,
Okay.
we're restoring all the roads back.
okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or question? I'll call the question. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is consideration of a contract award for reclamation and paving of 2 local streets to Charles W. Matthews Contracting Company, Inc. You've got this before you. Mr. Alexander just spoke of that one.
That's correct.
So any questions on that?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the contract as presented. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, thank you. The next is an annexation request for annexation 2020-1 Lynchwood Coweta LLC for 65.77 acres located on Parks Road, tax parcel number 123-105-0005. Requested zoning of RU7 for 118 single-family homes. This comes to us, of course, for a referral to the Planning Commission for their review, and it comes back to us for our approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is to consider authorizing the release of a request for qualifications and RFQ for the development of construction documents for the Jackson Street and Sprayberry Road sidewalk projects. Mr. Shell, I hope you heard that Jackson Street sidewalk project. Would you like to make a motion, Mr. Shell?
We lost Mr. Shell.
Maybe not.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank
Second.
you. Is there a second? Motion and a second to approve the authorization of the release of an RFQ on development of construction documents for Jackson Street, Sprayberry Road sidewalks. Do we have Mr. Shell? I want to make sure we've got our member.
Mr. Shell, can you hear me?
I can't hardly hear anything. Clearly, everything gets muddled.
Mr. Shell, is this better?
Not much.
Okay. We'll
I
continue to try to make it better for you. I have a motion and a second to approve the RFQ on Jackson and Sprayberry Road sidewalk projects.
Okay.
If there are no questions or discussion,
Sounds like Mr. Shell does have a question.
Rhodes, do you have
I
a
don't have a
question about the item?
I don't have any questions. That's you asked me.
Okay, no question.
all right.
Thank you.
I'll call the question then. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Under unfinished business, consideration of a broker for consulting and insurance services. Mr. Phillips.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you recall, we've been discussing our insurance situation for several months now. We actually hired an actuarial firm to come in and run some modeling numbers for us. We had that presentation actually before the COVID pandemic. This body actually authorized staff to release an RFQ for brokerage services. And that we did during the middle of the pandemic. It was a little bit of a challenge conducting the interviews remotely, but we were successful. We had a total of 15 firms respond to our RFQ. Meg and Haskell and myself conducted the interviews. We interviewed six very, very highly qualified firms. Then we narrowed that down to 3 finalists, and to be honest with you, all of the finalists were very qualified and very impressive in their own rights. But at the end of the day, we can only make a recommendation for one, and we're recommending MSI benefits. And the reason we're recommending MSI is their client portfolio really matches us very well. They represent, I think it was 55 Georgia cities and counties. We're right in their wheelhouse of their size. They don't represent a lot of really large government entities. They understand the elected bodies. They also understand GMA. Because like we've said before, this isn't an absolute decision that we're leaving that health pool. but it's going to be analyzed. So if we were to stay, they understand them. So it is our recommendation that we enter into contract for brokerage services with MSI Benefits.
All right, any questions of Mr. Phillips? Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. We do enter into consulting and insurance services with the recommended party. Any discussion or questions? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is consideration of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Newnan and the Noonan Urban Redevelopment Agency regarding the rehabilitation and sale of a house located at 100 East Washington Street. And there's a picture of the property on the screen. Any questions or staff regarding this, Mr. Alexander?
Yes, what is are we going to rehab this property, or?
Yeah, if you recall, we've discussed this particular property on a couple of occasions.
Right.
We were ready to actually enter into this agreement about 2 years ago, but that was prior to the McIntosh Parkway project, and this body decided it was best to wait till that project was over.
Yes.
So here we are, and under this arrangement, we would be loaning the NURA $100,000. They would be utilizing that $100,000 to renovate the home and then to sell the home.
Okay.
Upon the sale of the home, per the terms of the agreement, they would reimburse the city council the $100,000. They would get to use the proceeds above the $100,000 as seed money for other housing projects.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you. Okay, so when they get ready to sell the house, is that a public bid process?
They actually, it can be put onto the market.
Okay, using the brokerage
That
service
is correct.
we've engaged. It's the same person we've engaged before, or do they make that decision?
They can make that decision as the body.
Okay,
Yeah, that's some of the powers granted to the Urban Redevelopment Agency.
good.
Yeah, they'll be selecting a contracting team, and then a marketing team, and it'll be listed.
That's all.
Pretty typical process.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. Okay,
Question, do we have a timeline for this? I mean, is it gonna be completed in 6 months, a year, 2 years?
Ms. Donovan, I don't know that we have a timeline. I know that we've been working on this. We've been doing estimates, and we got a pretty good idea. That's why the $100,000 request is in there, of what the renovation is going to look like. I mean, if you take a standard process of selecting a contractor and renovating that home, it's probably a 4-month renovation. So you're probably looking at a good 6 to 7 months probably before it's renovated and ready for the market, would be my estimate.
Okay, thank you.
so there's a motion and a second?
Make that motion.
Pardon me? I don't think I had a motion and a second, did I?
Oh, he has a you made the motion, right?
I made the motion
Second.
to approve and then
Second.
Okay, all right, I didn't note it. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All right, any other discussion, question? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose like sign. Okay, under visitors, petitions, communications, and complaints, we have a request from Summer Grove POA to post banners and signs at the entrance of the neighborhood on Lower Fayetteville Road, Shenandoah Boulevard, East Lake, and Mayor Freeman Road for the purpose of graduation and yard sales in June and September. If you'll remember, we have done this for years now in the past, so. is there a
I'll make that
motion?
motion.
Motion? Is there a
Second.
Second.
Motion a second to approve the request from Summer Grove. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Okay, is there anyone else who has anything else off agenda today to come before council? Anyone? Oh, Mr. Frost, if you'll come to the, I'm not sure what mic you're using. There we go.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I just wanted to thank the council for the opportunity to have served for the last 10 years on the board of the NURA. I've enjoyed it very much. I was 19 when I started. I'm going to be 30 in a couple of weeks, so a third of my life has been spent on that board. It's been a wonderful opportunity to serve, to meet people I never would have otherwise have met. And I want to thank the mayor for having appointed me to chair it in 2013 and for Councilman DeBose who originally appointed me in 2010. It's been a great honor, and I just want to say thank you very much.
We appreciate your service. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate you being here today. Anything else from anyone else? Council members down front?
I have one question. On the, we're redoing on Jackson Street, and you're going to have a mid-crossing point, since we're not going to redo any of the sidewalks from Cavender to Clark. Have you picked where that's going to be? I went down there and looked today, and someone had suggested the sidewalk ends on the, in front of Mr. Arnold, the attorney. It ends right there.
Yeah, one thing that I would note, the document that we gave you today was a scoping study.
Okay,
Once we get into design, obviously, there will be input from not only our staff, GDOT officials.
Right.
I'd say the location of that mid-block crossing would be more specifically determined. I know the area you're talking about is that we don't have sidewalk in front of the cemetery.
correct.
We've got a lot of constraints in
Sure.
front of the cemetery, and I think that's why the consultant was recommending a mid-block crossing,
Right.
because of all the constraints in front of the cemetery.
Right, and I was just thinking, since the sidewalk ended there, maybe a suggestion is to put the,
It's not ideal, a mid-block crossing there, because it's very busy, but we're going to try to,
Right.
evaluate it. It may be that we got
Okay.
a rapid flashing beacon or some other type of pedestrian assistance for crossing, but we'll make those determinations
Okay.
during the design. I'm glad you brought that up, because the purpose of the design is actually to get the project what we call shovel-ready.
right,
Because we're hoping there's going to be a call for project funding through the Atlanta Regional Commission soon. And if we get our project shovel-ready, it is much, much more competitive for funding. So that is the intent of getting it designed at this point in time. As you notice, we haven't asked you to dedicate any type of construction dollars.
right, okay. I also want to thank Mr. Phillips and Mr. Craver. Appreciate all the hard work y'all have been putting into, and also the staff, police, fire, and just everyone, what y'all have done during this pandemic that we've had. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you.
Good job.
Glad to see everybody. It's been a little lonely in City Hall at times.
Well, Councilman Alexander, you just stole my thunder, but I was going to reiterate what the mayor said earlier, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. We adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, please.
Absolutely.